Segment 2, Avi Meyers, Northtown Neighborhood News Magazine. Thanks, entire technical crew, Sonny Hersh. You can watch our shows on the web. Watch them in their entirety. www.ntnm.org. Don't forget, community policing to find out all the meetings and everything that's going on in West Rogers Park. Caps24.org. You don't have to type in www anymore. Just, caps24.org. And it's also very important for me to mention that if you got a problem and you need to talk to a policeman, call the police. Don't expect the police to know about your problem unless you talk to a policeman directly. So please call the police. Now, I found out, I got a call from one of the top aides of Maria Pappas, who won re-election just recently, who really liked her copy of Jewish Chicago. And she also likes the TV show, as it turns out. And she wanted to know when we started the show because Maria Pappas wanted to send us a nice certificate about it. So I did my homework, and I found out that December 21st, 1991 is when we officially became a show, which means right around the time that this will air will be the 15th anniversary of the show. And who do you blame for this? Not just me. I didn't want to do this. I didn't want any part of this. I didn't want to have nothing to do with this awful tragedy we've been pulling on the American public since December 21st, 1991. At the time, the president of the Northtown Community Council, the person reprehensible for starting the show, was Michael C. Moses. He dragged me to Chicago Access, flogged me, beat me until I passed those courses, started a show about the neighborhood, and now we're looking at the 15th anniversary. The person whose name should be on every post office everywhere, Michael C. Moses.
Well,
Mike, how you doing?
It's hard to believe it's been 15 years, but I remember driving you down there in the first meeting, and I said, Avi, it's all yours, and you probably thought I was going to be with you, and I said, no, you can take it, and you can be the host, and you can know the classes, and you've done a great job, and
well, by the way, you were wrong then and you're wrong now.
And now we're on the web. Now, is that modified when you go on the web, like when you watch movies on television?
As a matter of fact, we add the nudity, we add the whole shot, everything. Right? Everything, as Sonny just pointed out, everything. Subtitles, right? It's all in French.
It's all French.
So
it probably makes more sense to people.
It does, because people don't realize we're really doing the show in French, but Sonny built this translator thing, so that's why they're hearing it in English. But in any event, you know what? We just had an election, and we need somebody to analyze it. Now, frankly, I wanted to stick my finger down my throat because I wasn't real happy with it.
Well, before we make fun or criticize or say what we think, first we should congratulate these people and say, "Hope you do a good job." And now we can say what we really think. But it's only they won. They're going to be our leaders and representatives, and hopefully they'll do a good job, whether it's on a national or state or local level. And that's it. I mean, so hopefully they'll do a good job, and now we can make fun of them.
Okay, now you know what?
But we have like an order here that we
let's
have
talk.
to.
No, I understand that. Although I will tell you this, from my personal standpoint, I know you might disagree with me. But Rabbi Eisenbach, who's going to be on a show in the next week or two as a hospice chaplain, I would like to see if he knows Dr. Kevorkian, maybe we can introduce him to Blagojevich.
Listen.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah.
I shouldn't do that, and I shouldn't do that to you. But you know what? Let's talk about what trends did you see? What trends are we looking at?
I think.
What are the significant developments?
I think, well, first of all, everyone voted Democratic. You saw the Democratic candidates in Cook County and nation, and throughout the whole nation, really.
And what do you attribute that to?
I think that of course, the war in Iraq, and I think people just didn't feel things were going right. So that even affected the judges' races in areas, sub-circuit areas, which have always voted Republican in the suburbs. Democrats won there also. You saw a lot of state senators who were Democrats winning in Republican areas. So there was, you can't, hard to say, did Republicans not vote? I think Republicans voted. I think more independents and more Democrats came out to vote, especially from the last couple of elections throughout the country in 2000, 2004, when people saw how close these elections were, 10,000 votes here, 15,000 votes there, 200 votes there. So people really wanted to come out and vote. So I think, the trend was, we weren't happy, the people were not happy with what they saw and or how they felt the direction of the country was going, so they voted Democratic. And then that affected even local races. like governor and for judge, where people said, well, I'm just going to stick with the Democrats because I just don't want to vote for Republican this time. And of course, even in Republican areas, a lot of Republicans voted Democrat or a lot of moderates voted Democrat.
Well, as a matter of fact, one friend of both of ours who won, actually the son of a friend of ours who won, Dan Kotowski, in largely a Republican area against an incumbent, that really pleasantly surprised me.
Right. Well, of course. I mean, he was a good candidate. He's a good person. I'm sure he'll make a great state senator. And then we also have to look at the trends of population. The Democrats or people who vote Democrats are moving into more Republican areas. So that also may be a change. But I think it was really just a message to the Republican Party. We've given you a chance, and we're just going to vote Democratic. And like I said, the trend was to vote all the way down. In the governor's race, it's hard to say. Last time we were talking, I talked about the newspapers, how important it was for them for the candidates that they supported to win, especially when you talk about the governor's race or the Cook County board race, day after day criticizing the governor, criticizing the Democratic candidate running for Cook County Board President, Tess Rozier. Those candidates won. They won in Cook County, and whether it was the spending of the money or whether Judy Bart Topinka, the Republican candidate, didn't have enough money to fight back, and that's another trend. I think if you spend $21 million, the other person only spends $6 million, and that's kind of hard to believe when you talk about only spending $6 million and saying that's not enough to win a campaign, which is almost unbelievable, but that's the way politics is going.
What does it say about the people that spent $6 million? I mean, expecting something.
Well, I don't know if they expected anything. It's just the idea of how much money, but it's the old problem when you have less money or less resources than your opponent. I mean, do you defend yourself against criticisms? Do you attack your opponent? Are you positive about yourself? And one person has 21 million, the other person has 6. On the other hand, I think $6 million did portray Judy Bart Topinka. I keep on calling her like a first name, like I know her. I don't really met her.
That's what everybody called her, though.
Everybody called, right. And to say, did she get her message that she wanted to get out with $6 million? She probably did. Plus, she had all the endorsements of the papers. So I think the people that voted in this election really knew both candidates, and they decided to stick with the Democrat candidate for county board and for governor.
Well, I tell you, in the governor's race in particular, I think that she ran a particularly. I was very, as everybody who knows who watches the show, I was very much for Judy Bart Topinka, and I can't stand Blagojevich, and I do think that her people really did not run a very good campaign, and it's a shame.
Well, again, just like I said, of course, and it showed by her not winning, but. If she had 20 million, would she have won? No one knows. If they both had 6 million, would she have won? No one knows. I mean, she was under attack. She was defined by the governor.
Blagojevich defined her with those awful advertisements.
Right, but what happened? You may recall when Jim Edgar ran against Dawn Clark Netsch, he started putting out ads, I think, early in the summer, and he tried to define her and as like a liberal or someone who wanted to raise taxes. And that's just the way it went. He had more money, and she didn't have the money to fight it. And then she was defined, and that's what you're trying to do. If you have the money, is to define your candidate, at the same time being the incumbent, able to go around and present your plans and situations. So he was able to win. Tess Rozier was able to win, and like I said earlier, hopefully he'll do a good job, and we'll just continue on. To take it from there. So that election's over. Even Maureen Murphy, who ran for, I think, Board of Tax Appeals. Now, that was an area made especially for the Republicans. It's an all-suburban district. She's been an incumbent, I think, the last 2 terms. She lost to the Democrat. So it was just a clean victory for the Democrats.
It was take it out on the Republicans.
Take it out on the Republicans.
And I understand why.
Sure. And 2 years from now, we'll see what happens. Another trend I think you'll see is one of the congressional candidates, Mark Kirk, won a very, very close race against Dan Seals for Congress in the 10th. And I'm sure the Democrats right now are planning to beat him, and that may force him to run against Dick Durbin in 2 years.
There's already been talk of it in the papers.
Okay, so that's why, because he's probably strategizing with other Republicans, and He may run for re-election, but on the other hand, he may run against Dick Durbin, thinking I have a better chance of winning statewide than I do in this congressional area.
Yeah. Well, that's a definite possibility. I don't know how he's going to beat Dick Durbin, but the fact of the matter is that he did beat Dan Seals in a very strongly Democratic year. So I would think if anybody should try again along those lines, I don't understand how he would possibly beat Dick Durbin.
Well, I'm just saying he may be forced out. I remember when Paul Simon ran for the Senate, I believe he ran for the Senate. He was a congressman down south, and then
Right.
I think off the top of my head, I think the name was Ken Gray, who didn't run, and it was the congressman decided not to run, and then about 2 or 3 terms, and when Paul Simon was congressman, he told Paul, "Well, I'm going to run, get my seat back," and that forced Paul to run for the. Again, I don't know Paul, or everybody passed away, but but just by everyone knows Paul means Paul Simon, just forced him to run for the U.S. Senate, and if this other gentleman had to run.
Of course, Simon won for the Senate.
He beat Chuck Percy.
Yeah, which was a very good thing as far as I was concerned.
So, but these are trends. But if 6 months from now, if things are not better, or if people don't feel that the Democrats have complied with their wishes or did what they said they were doing in this campaign, then who knows? 2 years from now, it could be Republican time. So, like you said, it's too early. But these are just trends that just happened from the last election and that day, a snapshot of that day, and now we're moving on to the other elections of mayor and alderman and
actually we'll have to reinvite you to talk about it, because at this point Mickey's hands are getting there.
Fine.
I want to thank you very much. My guest, Michael C. Moses, our resident political expert. If people would like to contact you, Mike, who do they call?
They can call me if they want to. That's like if you want to call the police, call the police. If they want to call me, they can call me at 773-508-0100. 773-508-0100.
I want to thank my entire technical crew, Sonny Hersh. Thanks for joining us, www.ntnm.org. Michael, thank you so much, and all the best to you.
You too.
Thanks, everybody, for joining us, and bye-bye.
Bye.